Hello everyone, welcome back to my PHP tutorials, and today's video is going to be basic PHP syntax. So to start off, we're just going to make a project in the htdocs folder that's found in XAMPP, and I'm just going to call it Jack's project. Now, so Jack's project is going to be your root directory, and if you've used HTML and CSS, you'll be well aware what this is, but this folder here is going to hold all of the files that is essentially going to be our website. So you're going to want to make an index page. You can either do it in your code editor or you can do it as I'm doing it now, which is the way I prefer to. Index.php. Now, a lot of questions are index.php versus index.html, and the difference is index.php is essentially going to be a file that has PHP and nothing else in it. But the index.phtml is going to be a HTML file that has small bits of PHP code inside of it. So that's a very early confusion when it comes to developing PHP that most people have, but that's essentially what it is. Starting off, you can see here on our index.php that we've just created in our project folder, we have a basic HTML layout. And in order to create PHP, the first thing we need to know is the opening tag. Now the opening tag is lesser than question mark PHP, and the closing tag is question mark greater than. So starting off, we're going to output something inside the browser. Now, there are many ways to do this. My favorite way is the echo. An alternative is print. There are many more, but for now we're going to create a string and then we're going to output it using echo. What is a string, you're probably asking now, and a string is one of the data types supported by PHP. And all a string is that it's a series of characters. So we can use a string to create words and then create sentences. So if you look here, I'm going to use echo, open brackets, and I'm going to write, this is a string. Pay attention to the semicolon here, because once we've created this line of code, which is a statement, we need to tell PHP to go to the next statement, and that's what the semicolon is. And this is a very, very common mistake in PHP, that people leave out semicolons. So they'll have lines of code and they'll leave one of these out, and PHP doesn't know what's going on, and you'll probably get an error. And because the semicolon is so small, just like all syntax errors, you won't see it. So just try make it good practice to make sure not to leave any of these out, because they'll cause you a lot of hassle if you do. Now, so we've just actually written some PHP code, and if I refresh this page, that's it there working. This is a string. So even though it's a HTML page, the PHP line is actually being executed and it's outputting this. So to demonstrate HTML and PHP being executed on the same web page or file, I'm just going to put some HTML around the PHP tag that I have right here. So I'm going to put a paragraph and I'm going to say this is a paragraph. And I'm going to put one underneath it as well. I'm going to say this is another paragraph. So there you can see on top the HTML is being executed, so is the PHP, and then so is the HTML. So I just want to talk more about the syntax error with the semicolon I was talking about, where if I take this semicolon away, it'll run, and if I add it back in, it'll obviously run lovely. However, if I echo two strings, and I try load this, I'm going to get a syntax error, because I'm actually missing a semicolon right there, because PHP needs to know that this statement is finished, move on to this one. Now, your last statement of every page doesn't need a semicolon, however, the page will still run just fine if you add it in. So my advice is make it good practice to add a semicolon after every statement, because it will just save you a lot of hassle in the long run. What we're actually doing here is that we're separating HTML markup with PHP markup, but I'm just going to demonstrate how you can actually use HTML markup in a PHP tag. So you can see here, this is a string and this is a string. Even though they're on separate lines of code, you want to separate the two, you can actually echo them out as a paragraph. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. And then we're going to see what it looks like on the browser. So you can see there, the paragraph is actually separated the two lines, so it looks a lot cleaner. And it's just an example of showing how HTML markup can be executed inside a PHP tag. However, by including the HTML markup inside the PHP tag, we're actually not escaping the PHP with the HTML. Now, an example of this is that we can see the first example is escaping it, where an if statement is only executed inside a PHP tag. So we actually open and close it and add the if statement in there. When we close it, we can actually include the HTML so it can be executed not inside the PHP tag. And then you can see that the semicolon of the if statement is closed by this. Now, don't pay attention to the if statement because you don't even know that part yet. But the browser actually has a much easier time executing code when the PHP is separated to the HTML markup. But you can see here that this is an example of where it isn't escaped. So you can see that the PHP is opened and it's closed and all of the code is put inside. But in the first example, you can see that they're separated. Now, don't pay too much attention to this. I just thought I'd mention it because it is syntax. And to finish up the video, I just thought I'd show you comments. Comments are very, very simple and straightforward. Comments are your friend. Now, they don't actually interfere with the code at all. And all they are is you put messages where you really want to inside a PHP tag. There's two ways of doing it: the / text and then another slash, and then there's a slash star and then close it with a star slash. Now you can put them wherever you want to either understand the code or maybe just leave a message and let yourself know what you wanted to do with that code in the future. And as a result, they're very, very effective when it comes to working in group projects, because when someone pulls code or looks at a file that you've created, they can read your code as a result. So that's all comments are. They're very simple. And that's all for today's video then, folks. Cheers for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks.